title is put some gratitude in your attitude, but really what this speech is about, are we living our lives intentionally, or are we letting life happen to us? It's a story about my family and, appropriately, Thanksgiving. Does that count as a giving? I don't know. I don't know, it's questionable. I have a blended family. My wife and I, when we got together, had 2 kids from other marriages. And blended families balance creating our own family with those other parents and their families that our kids have. And because we love our kids, no matter how we might feel about the other parents, we honor those other families. And so the challenge is how to make that family work and those other families feel included and a part of. We've got a lot of strategies for that. We celebrate Hanukkah and Christmas. When we do Christmas, we have a deal with my in-laws where they cover Thanksgiving and we do Christmas Eve, big shindig, lots of giving, lots of food, good time. Anyone is invited, any parent, any family invited, lots of people. The kids all open their gifts, they love it, because then the next day, they go to their other families and open more presents. Who doesn't like that? Everybody like presents? Would you like to have 2 days where you open presents? Show of hands? Yes, I know I would. So that worked out perfectly, but Thanksgiving has always been kind of a problem for us. I mean, you can't really have 2 Thanksgiving dinners. You can, but who wants to eat turkey 2 nights in a row? You're so stuffed after the first night, there's no way you're gonna go have a second night. And the other problem is, because Thanksgiving really is a one-day experience, we can't cut it up like we do Christmas and Christmas Eve. Some kids are going to their other parents for Thanksgiving while some stay, depending on the divorce agreement that we have with our other spouses. The kids and family that remain are going off to our in-laws. And the in-law experience is special and unique. We call it Cousins Thanksgiving because it's my wife Catherine's cousins. And I always end up sitting at what we call the in-laws table, which is where all the people who are married into the family sit. And the kids end up at the kids' table because nobody really wants the in-laws or the kids, was our perception. Inevitably, there was a lot of unhappiness about Thanksgiving. And Thanksgiving is supposed to be about giving. It's supposed to be about family and good times and abundance. But we're having this experience of scarcity where people are feeling like they're not getting gratitude, they're not having a good time, they're not getting to show up. When we are celebrating Thanksgiving, it feels contentious. And how many people go to other people's houses for Thanksgiving? Show of hands. A lot. All right, so you have kind of some of that experience. You're at somebody else's house, and the good news is you don't have to cook or clean up much, maybe a little bit. But the bad news is it's not really family, or maybe it's extended family, and it feels a little odd. And even within extended family, there's contention. There's competition for who brought the best pie. There's sibling rivalry. There's the conflict of being in somebody else's house and not being totally comfortable. There's the conflict when you're the host and having other people over and wanting them to be happy and nobody's really having 100% experience. There's a lack of giving. I'm working it today. Okay, so meanwhile, back at Hacienda Heller, we get into about 10 years of this, and we figured out all the bugs. The only problem we're having is Thanksgiving. And the kids are now no longer this, they're this, which means they've got ideas. And we're getting ready to go to Cousins Thanksgiving, and the kids are like, oh man, it sucks. Mom, like my wife's kids are saying, Mom, she just talks to her cousins, and I don't even know my cousins, and it's boring, and everybody asks the same questions, and it's just awful. And I'm sick of sitting at the in-laws table. Nobody ever wants to talk to me. It's all about you. We're all like in victim-y, and if we're not victim-y, it's about blame. You know, it's like, why do we have to go through this? So we're getting ready to stage a revolution. Right? Because the option is keep showing up for this Thanksgiving that nobody likes. It's gotten worse. By the way, it's getting worse and worse every year because we're bringing our attitude to it every year, and our attitude isn't helping. Or stage a revolution. So we're like, yeah. We go to my wife. We say we're going to have Thanksgiving here in the house. We're like me and the kids, unified. We're not going. And she's like, yeah. So how's that going to work? What does that mean about Christmas Eve? Do you think they're going to want to come over here if they're not hosting us? So she pointed out to us that we had bigger values that wouldn't really permit that revolution. We're trying to figure out how do we address this. And we had to make a decision. What was more important? Was it the meal? Was it what we eat? Was it who we're with? What was the experience that we wanted? And we realized, the kids and I, that what we wanted was a shared family experience. And what we realized was we really did want it on Thanksgiving, not the night before, but we were clear that maybe turkey wasn't so important. So what we came up with was Thanksgiving brunch. Thanksgiving brunch is where everybody gets to have whatever they like for breakfast or lunch. It's usually breakfast though, because everybody wants to sleep in. And everybody's thrilled about this, except for Catherine, because she's like, it's too many calories. What are you gonna do, right? You can't please everyone. So we have our first family brunch, and there's like waffles and pancakes and eggs and bacon and sausage, and we're having a good time. And all the kids are there because they're gonna spin out later on to go to their other parents. It's like this amazing experience. And we're sitting there at family brunch, and Catherine says, what's gonna happen next? How are we gonna be at Cousins' Thanksgiving? And we're like, oh, Cousins' Thanksgiving. And she says, you know, there's like 9 of us, and we make up more than half of the people who go to Cousins' Thanksgiving. Like, we dominate it. What if you went there with a slightly different attitude? It was like this light bulb aha moment. Like when we realized that we outnumber them, because we got a huge family. The rest of them have like 2 kids, 1 kid, we've got kids, you know? And we thought about that, and we went there and we showed up, and we got there, and first it was, I make jokes about the in-laws table, and guess what? The in-laws rebelled. There was no more in-laws table that Thanksgiving, and the kids were like, we're not sitting with each other anymore. And we all had a totally different experience. We're like, we're not gonna talk about what we don't want to talk about. We are gonna talk about what we do want to talk about. It's a completely different experience. Because we set an intention at that brunch that we were gonna have a certain experience for Thanksgiving, that we were gonna have an experience of abundance, of appreciation, of giving. I'm loving that word, loving that word. And it carried through to what was normally a horrible, horrible Thanksgiving experience. And we still have that brunch today. My kids are now grown-ass men and women, as they like to say, and they come over, they're coming over tonight to sleep over at my house so that they can have Thanksgiving brunch. Like, it's a big deal for them, because the creation of this new tradition, setting that intention, was so important for them. So there are 3 lessons that come out of this. The first is that we can hang out in being a victim or being all blameful. Why do we have to go to this? You're the only one who gets something out of it. We can hang out in that space if we want to. Or we can make a choice that we're going to set an intention to have a different experience. So the first is, it doesn't have to be like that. And those feelings are okay. In fact, you have to have to get to the other thing. You have to pass through that. But hanging out there forever, that's not going to work. The second lesson is, to get from A to B, you need to make a decision and set an intention, right? I mean, either that or the circumstances just change. Somebody dies and the whole setup changes. Like, that's unacceptable. It's much better to be clear, set an intention, make it a decision. And the third lesson that came out of this for me was that gratitude, or real giving thanks, comes out of this experience of lack, right? So when you go back to how Thanksgiving started, the Pilgrims came over here, they're freaking starving. And the natives, instead of putting a cap in their ass, well, putting an arrow in their ass, instead of doing that, they fed them. Next year, the Pilgrims planted up a storm, and they grew up all this food, and they had this amazing harvest, and who did they invite to share it? The 91 natives who saved their buns. And what they were celebrating is, we could have been dead, but you guys helped us live. They weren't just celebrating that they had abundance, they were celebrating that abundance out of scarcity. So those are the 3 lessons that I have out of that, and I challenge you to think about, what's the intention that you want to set this Thanksgiving? And appreciate that really being grateful comes out of looking where you came from. Thank you.